Welcome back to Project 613. Over the past few days, we've been learning the mitzvah governing all of the laws of when food and drink could become ritually impure. And unlike other mitzvot of the Torah, this mitzvah isn't an instruction to do something or even to abstain from doing something. Rather, the mitzvah is the information itself. The mitzvah, in this instance, is the very laws governing when and how food and drink could become ritually impure. And one of the main conditions is that only food which is fit for human consumption is susceptible to ritual impurity. So, for example, food that you give your pet, food that you give the dog, that isn't possible to contract ritual impurity. Another one of the conditions that we mentioned a number of days ago is that in order for food to become ritually impure, it must have first come in contact with water or one of the other 7 liquids that the Torah mentions. And only then, if after having been in touch with water or one of those liquids, and then the food comes in contact with something which is ritually impure, then the food itself could become ritually impure. So what's the reason for this? Why is it that the food first has to have been wet, and only then could it be susceptible to ritual impurity? And really, if you think of it, any food would always have been wet. I mean, any grain that grows in the field would have had rain falling on it, it would have been wet. Or food that comes from an animal, when an animal is out, if it rained, so the animal was wet, and so that food would have been wet. So what does it mean that food only if it becomes wet? And the answer is that we're talking about once the food is ready for consumption. So obviously once it's already been cut, or once the animal has been slaughtered already, and once the food is ready and prepared for consumption, and then it gets wet, that is when it becomes susceptible to ritual impurity. And the reason for this, one of the explanations that's given for this, is that the Torah considers only food that is ready to eat, only food that is fit for human consumption, only such food could become ritually impure. And as far as the Torah is concerned, only once food is cleaned, only once food has been washed, then it's fit for human consumption. So long as food has not been rinsed, has not been cleaned, then it's not ready to be eaten. And because one of the laws of this ritual impurity is that it only food which is fit for human consumption is susceptible to it, it's for that very reason that only food which has become wet would then be ritually impure, whereas if it has not yet become wet, then the Torah does not consider it yet ready to eat, and therefore it would never become ritually impure. This brings us to the conclusion of the laws of food and drink that becomes ritually impure, and tomorrow we will begin a new section of laws. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.